So to start off with, I don't remember the letters that I labeled these angles. This is the 45-degree angle, which I think is angle A. And I'm going to just create an arbitrary piece with a 45-degree angles on both of these faces and these faces. So this will be like the 45-degree, the diagonal part that you do first. Okay, so this is an example of how to do that. And this is a random length. I don't even know how long this is. I'm just going to put perfect angles on both ends. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to move my stop so that I am just barely taking off any material at all on the end. And then I'm going to push away from me. Okay, my body is this way. I'm going to push away from me. Unsupported fibers tend to tear. If you're doing it like this, when you pare, it's going to pull away and it's going to break out like that. Okay, so unsupported fibers tend to tear. Just keep saying that in your head when it looks like that. Oh, unsupported fibers tend to tear. So let's support them. So I'm going to push away from me, and I'm going to do both ends, and I managed to get this perfect, but I have this tear out here that I don't want. So let me do another one. These should be the same length, so I should be able to, and if you look, I'm just taking off a little bit, and also watch how I'm cutting here. I'm leaving the chisel's perfectly flat, this is perfectly flat. I have the chisel laying perfectly flat. I'm not tipping, I'm not digging in. You shouldn't see any marks on the end of this at all. If you do mark it, it's not a big deal. But if you're marking it, you're doing it wrong. Okay? So you want this chisel perfectly flat on the bottom. Apply a pressure straight down. And then what I do is I start here and I do a slicing paring cut. So I'm basically using almost the entire width of this chisel as it's cutting as I'm moving forward, and you'll tend to get a nicer, cleaner cut. Okay, so let's do that again. Okay, that's nice. So I've got that end done. Okay, and it's nice and clean. So again, paring cut, slicing paring cut, starting here, moving down. I'm not using the clamp. I've got this in a vise and I have it kind of at an angle so that I'm working so you can see. All right. Ordinarily it would be in this orientation in your clamp deal. Same thing though. Flat paring cut. All right. Let's do the next thing. Let's say that I need to make this thing just a little bit shorter. Okay, so I've got my first angle, and I go in and I mark, and I need to cut off. I need to maybe say take off this much. Well, I'm not going to do that with the chisel because that's just too much material to remove. Let's say it wants to be this long. That's too much material to remove. So I'm going to want to, once I have my length established, I'm going to change my sawbuck length to cut it closer to my overall length. And I'm just going to mark this with my fingernail because I don't have a pencil handy. And I'm going to go cut this little bit off. I don't want to try and do this. That is too much. It'll pull away. It'll actually pull away. The wedging action of the chisel, because it's too much material, it can't go through, so you start levering off of this and it'll pull away from the stop, so you don't want that. You want to just be removing very small amounts. All right, I went and cut that. It's shorter now. I'll put it in here, and let's see what we got. I'm going to push up against. I'm going to keep my chisel. Let me move this back so you can see a little bit better. All right, so again, my body is this way. I'm pushing away from me. I'm pushing it tight against the stop. I'm pushing it against this edge. I've got my chisel flat. I'm going to start a paring cut across. Flip it over. And now we have two 45-degree angles equals one perfect 90-degree angle. One of the things that I see people try and do is they adjust this stop so that this is sticking out, and they end up creating this entire piece they're cutting at 45 degrees. You don't want to do that. Remember, it needs to meet in the middle, so you just need to take off a little bit of material on each end. Okay? I hope that that helps some. Let me do one more. Paring cut. Paring cut. Nice, nice. Hope that helps. And again, don't angle your chisel. Don't cut into the block. You shouldn't cut into the block at all. If you are, you need to pay more attention to downward pressure flat on the block. Okay? And the chisel should be sharp. If you've tried everything else and it's still just not working, maybe we can do a Zoom meeting. Or maybe for some, I don't know, maybe I sharpened the chisel and I tend to go on autopilot on sharpening chisels, and I might have gotten distracted midway through, maybe. But usually I shave the hair off my arm when I'm done with it, and they should be pretty sharp.